is a Fox 5 News special honoring Black history.
Hello and welcome to our special honoring Black history, sharing our stories. I'm Alani Latang.
And I'm Frank Jefferson. We're glad to have you with us. In honor of Black History Month, we're taking a look at some of the accomplishments African Americans have had here in San Diego and across America.
We begin with the 41st annual Martin Luther King Jr. Parade that returned to San Diego this year.
Hundreds came out to celebrate what would have been Dr. King's 94th birthday.
Our Zara Barker shows us the sights and sounds of the day.
Dancers, drum lines, city leaders, and rollerbladers, all taking over the Embarcadero, celebrating the birth, life, and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
It's a celebration of unity, of freedom, of equality. It's a celebration of togetherness. You know, I think those are things that Dr. King embodied and what he tried to put out into the world. And we just want to continue that and keep it going.
And that's exactly what this parade has been doing for 41 years.
We're actually better together. We're working together, we're collaborating, we're all celebrating our differences and our unique, distinct skill sets and bringing our time, our talent, our treasure to San Diego.
After a 2-year pandemic pause, the parade is back in full force.
Hey, what's up, amigo?
With more than 100 floats and performers.
This is like the biggest accomplishment I ever did in my life.
Kira Ballard was one of the students at San Diego College of Continuing Education who designed and welded this float in honor of Dr. King.
I worked mainly on working out on the latitude of the globe.
The float is designed to take Martin Luther King's message of unity throughout the globe.
This looked like Universal Studio. I was like, we did this. We really did this. It was really cool. Like, I'm really amazed of our work. We are the world, and we are just always going to be united, and it's like never try to judge anybody what color or what race they are, and just always be together.
Zara Barker, Fox 5 News.
And a special ceremony for Martin Luther King Jr. also took place in Balboa Park. The World Beat Center held its 34th annual Martin Luther King Jr. celebration, honoring the life and legacy of the civil rights leader. The special event included guest speakers and live music.
His words ring forever in our consciousness because we know in our hearts that love is the highest emotion on this planet.
This event was free to the public. They also hosted a food and clothing drive that will be donated to the people in need across the border.
Coming up on honoring Black history, sharing our stories.
I used to be a child of poverty, not knowing that hopes and dreams can become reality.
He's only 9 years old, but he's making his mark. The inspiring story of a boy who spoke as poet laureate at one governor's inauguration. And
gospel, blues, country, folk, and bluegrass all leads to today's melting pot of music that we call rock. And many of its pioneers are Black. How they impacted the past, present, and future of music. Coming up.
We now return to honoring Black history.
the words of a 9-year-old boy from Harlem is being echoed around the world. He spoke as poet laureate at the inauguration of New York Governor Kathy Hochul, sharing his words that are now inspiring others.
Congratulations. Keep up the good work, okay?
I will.
When you go for a walk with Caden Hearn,
so you're very popular now, Caden.
Yes.
Be prepared to stop and listen.
Congratulations. Very good for you.
If you like practice, you can do anything.
People around West 133rd Street
looking like that today.
I'm in the interview. Yeah.
are asking him about his words at the inauguration of the governor of New York.
In my mind, I used to be a child of poverty, not knowing that hopes and dreams can become reality. In my mind, I thought it was fine to sit in the back of the classroom because my teacher never asked me to read or write. But little did she know, I was ever so bright.
The 9-year-old is the poet laureate for New York. He was waiting to go inside the Apollo last year when Governor Kathy Hochul stopped by for one of her official appearances.
And there's a long line around the block. And I saw this young man stand there. I said, "You going in to watch somebody?" He goes, "No, I'm a poet. I'm going to go recite."
But now I understand why I'm being called ashy and black. Black is the color of my skin, so soft, beautiful, silky, and smooth. In my mind, I was thinking about things in my mind and how things are not fair.
His grandma provided the initial inspiration.
Questions he asks sometimes, go to Google, please. I can't answer it all, you know? Yeah, he's always been, it's a little boy.
She told me to write down my notes of what I was thinking.
He's working on another poem and paying attention.
Don't get the big head, because you are a star.
I will. Thank you.
To his family and friends on the block.
Because if you give up, the world's never going to change and it's going to stay the same.
Good personality, okay?
Thank you. Okay. But now I understand why. In my mind, I heard my ancestor cry. They helped clear the path so others do not have to die. Justice and peace. Oh, Father, please help me. And that's what I heard in my mind.
A talented young boy with a bright future, from poet laureate to photography, coming up on Honoring Black History Month, sharing our stories.
An artist has time to create sculpture, painting, but a photographer, we only have seconds.
Lights, camera, action. Meet the 85-year-old man who says he writes with pictures, how he helps share the stories of African Americans around the country. And
studies show that we always have a higher level of stress. We have higher rates of obesity, diabetes, high blood pressure. So it's important for us to find ways that we can de-stress.
We'll take you to the Crazy Plant-Based store, why the owner thinks African Americans can benefit from plants.
Now return to Honoring Black History.
Some people consider Ebony and Jet magazines the social media for Black people in the 20th century. The magazines told significant stories to communities of color, much of it told through pictures. Now those photographs are getting new life thanks to a multi-million-dollar purchase. As Donna Terrell reports, the historic images will now live on forever.
Now we're in it. Black is black, that's pretty good.
Through a camera lens.
Oh, that's you.
85-year-old Roy Lewis produces images.
An artist has time to create sculpture, painting, but a photographer, we only have seconds. It's a second.
And with each second, a story is told.
This is called The Lion, the Lioness, and the Cub. I tell people that I write with pictures.
In 1956, Lewis began working here at Johnson Publishing Company, JPC in Chicago, which produced Negro Digest, Jet, and Ebony magazines in the mid-40s, the pioneers in storytelling for Black households around the country.
It represented a mountain, you know, the top of the mountain for Black journalists.
Within these pages, photographers like Lewis made history. Now their camera film rolls live on after the Smithsonian National Museum of African American History and Culture and the Getty Research Institute acquired the historic JPC archive. It includes photos, negatives, and contact sheets spanning more than 7 decades.
Perhaps my favorite image is this image of Marvin Gaye, who many know that his father was a minister.
Part of the $30 million collection can be seen here at the museum's Spirit in the Dark exhibit. Black life is seen through historical figures in entertainment, religion, and politics. Each camera flash reveals the blurred lines between music, activism, and pop culture, connected by common themes.
They were wrestling with the issues of their own times, and the role of religion was prominent in their stories.
Also in the exhibit, treasures, like the typewriter used to transcribe notes for Malcolm X,
We see in his highlightings
and Little Richard's coveted Bible.
The struggle that he had with the religious community around his own sexuality.
What's here is only a snapshot of the rolls of film containing more than 4 million visuals soon to be available to the public. Many of these images will really focus on just the regular person.
That's true across the board. I think it's really important for people, particularly young people, to be able to see themselves somehow, not just reflected in the photograph, to see their humanity reflected in the photograph, but to see themselves reflected in the history that the photograph documents.
I can remember going to the beauty salon with my mother, and the first thing that I wanted to get were the Ebony and Jet magazines, because they portrayed the Black community in very wonderful ways.
That passion relived through what was captured in the lens.
You hold these images in your hand, and it's like a found jewel in many ways.
That's a big deal, to be able to have several pages of your work in ebony.
It is a real big deal.
As the millions of photos come back into frame, Lewis's work will likely be among them. He stopped working for JPC in 1968.
I took a leave. I'm actually still on leave. I'm still on.
Lewis continued his work in photography and film, but his heart never left the magazine company that captivated millions of people, and now possibly millions more, through the power of an image. In Washington, D.C., I'm Donna Terrell.
What amazing images. His historic photos will live on forever. Coming up, healing people with plants. Meet the owner of Crazy Plant Bay, how she hopes nature will help the African American community.
Now return to Honoring Black History.
Studies show African Americans can suffer from higher levels of stress, obesity, and diabetes, and many are looking for ways to change that. One woman shows us how she hopes her plant store, called Crazy Plant Bay, promotes healing.
During a period in the early 19th century, New Orleans was the largest slave market in the country, where many of the 135,000 people sold would find themselves cultivating profit for the building of a country they were not citizens of. Today, sprouting through the cracks of the historic neighborhood of Treme is a plant shop that aims to show how greenery has a lot to offer in terms of healing.
Even before we were made to farm, we've always been an agriculture people. If you look back at our roots in Africa, urban communities especially benefit from connecting to green space because it gives them a time and a place to disconnect from all of the pressures of society.
Known affectionately as Crazy Plant Bay, Teresa Thomas is the owner of the shop. At the start of the coronavirus pandemic, her and her family started an online plant store which moved to their historic building in Treme. Soon they noticed that after quarantine and restriction, people of all types could benefit from a little plant therapy.
Studies show that we always have a higher level of stress. We have higher rates of obesity, diabetes, high blood pressure. So it's important for us to find ways that we can de-stress. And by bringing life into our space, we're bringing in that positive energy. I love monsteras. It's the plant you think of when you think of anything tropical. I also really like snake plants and zizis. They're native to Africa.
In 1989, NASA conducted a study that showed some particular houseplants as efficient air purifiers. Around 18 houseplants are on that list. Quietly, plants photosynthesize the carbon dioxide in homes and respire oxygen, symbolic in a world where some feel suffocated under inequity.
I Can't Breathe resonated in our minds for so long, and because of what it represents, that just makes this so much more meaningful for me.
And like any proper therapy session, a trip to Crazy Plant Bay's shop comes with a chair to sit in, but hers is lavishly decorated and lush and encourages smiles and Instagram photos. where every plant enthusiast, or for that matter, a future plant enthusiast, is a king or a queen. Honoring Black history, mind, body, and soul.
And after a story like that, I wish I could just go and grab one of the plants right here, but I might be buying one after the show, who knows. Still to come on Honoring Black History Month, rock wouldn't be rock without the influence of Black people, the roots of the music that has inspired so many musicians.
We now return to Honoring Black History.
Celebrating the past includes a deep look at Black artists' fusion of music and activism.
As Jasmine Bailey shows us, gospel, blues, country, folk, and bluegrass all led to today's melting pot of music that we call rock.
The story of rock and roll begins at its root.
Rock and roll is not a genre that was built and grown in a vacuum. It's inspired by so many other amazing genres.
Waka Onwusa, chief curator at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, says gospel, blues, country, folk, bluegrass all led to today's melting pot of music that we call rock. Many of its pioneers are Black.
You're talking about the Robert Johnsons, the John Lee Hookers, B.B. King, so many amazing bluesmen who have impacted the sound of rock and roll, who have inspired the sound of rock and roll, R&B, funk, hip hop.
An undeniable evolution traced through the dozens of Black Rock Hall inductees.
Nina Simone, she was inducted in 2018. Isaac Hayes to Ray Charles, James Brown, Jay-Z, LL Cool J. I mean, our list goes on from past, present, and future.
Celebrating the past includes a deep look at Black artists' fusion of music and activism, from Public Enemy inductees who brought socially conscious rap to the masses.
They were very raw in their message. The lyrics that we actually have on display in this exhibit called It's Been Said All Along is fight the power. I mean, fight the powers that be.
To Aretha Franklin, the first woman ever inducted. Franklin performed at Radio City Music Hall in this Valentino dress, singing Respect, a song that became the battle cry of a generation.
These are like anthems to encourage you through your fight, through your social justice fight, through your fight as a woman.
Here at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Black artists are also celebrated for bringing the world music that sparks joy. You could argue no one does that like Earth, Wind & Fire.
On display, some of the elements' dazzling capes from their stage sets. Each exhibit an opportunity to tell the personal stories of icons like Tina Turner, who overcame domestic violence and owned the 80s, to Whitney Houston and Lionel Richie, who Onwusa says made music that was at times deemed not Black enough.
Both of them stood strongly and stood so firmly in saying, I just want to make music. Just good music.
The struggle behind the music never overshadowing its impact.
That's the thing about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. When you come into this space, learning about these artists, like, oh my God, you know, like you identify with that moment, that song, that artifact, that dress, that music video. And there's so many mediums that are celebrated here to educate, inspire, and spark that joy.
Johnny be good. Thank you for joining us for Honoring Black History, sharing our stories.
You can find more of these stories on our website at fox5sandiego.com.